Now, I'm sure you remember me saying something about my jigsaw not working right. My Festool jigsaw doesn't work. So I need to get a new jigsaw battery powered because so many times I want to be able to take it and use it without having to deal with the cord. Like for instance, when I'm scribing mantles, it's a real pain to have that cord flopping around. And I actually bought this on eBay, and somebody from Canada was selling it, and it's apparently new, but I don't know, we'll see. So this is the first time. I haven't opened it myself, so we'll see. But it's a Makita 18-volt cordless jigsaw. It's the djv180z. I've had a Bosch, and the Bosch is a superior jigsaw. If this is even close to the cut quality of the Bosch, I will be stoked, because the Bosch is basically like perfect. There's nothing wrong with that saw, but it's got a cord and doesn't have a dust collection port, which I would love. But as far as cut quality, I don't think you can get better than the Bosch, especially with the right blade on it, man. It is just, it's glass smooth, there's no splinters. It's just a superior saw. But cordless is great. This has a light, which is awesome. The Festool has a light, but you know, the saw doesn't work, so. And this costs like a fraction of the cost. Yes, Festool is pretty expensive, especially if it doesn't work. It's really expensive. djv180. It's got a plastic base right there. And yeah, if this thing's been used, I certainly can't tell. I don't think this thing's been touched. No way. There's still grease I can see. Yeah, this is brand new, man. So this is awesome. I cannot believe I just found this on eBay in Canada, of all places. This is the selector for your orbital modes. So this is the most orbit, and this is the least orbit while it's orbiting, and this is no orbit, which is cool. So one thing that's going to be nice about this over the Bosch is the blade change. See that grease right there? Yeah, if this thing's been used, that would have, there's no way that would be like that. So this is a brand new tool. Awesome. The Bosch has a plastic handle, and clearly with the plastic handle, that gives you a different feel. But the speed selector on the Bosch is right here, which by the way is always set to maximum. I pretty much never change that. To change the blade in this though, you got to pull this thing out, this part here, and you have to twist it, and then eventually it'll take pressure off the blade, and you can turn the blade, pull it out, and then to reverse it, you got to do this reverse. So that is not very good. I've never really loved it, but it sure beat the old way where you had to use the Allen wrench. But this machine, and this is a machine, there's no doubt. This thing has been through so much with me. I've had this since I first started woodworking, and it's the 1587 AVS, and this is not the one you would buy at Home Depot. You know, this is definitely a different type of a tool. As far as weight goes, this is pretty heavy. Without the battery, it's still heavier. So this has got little clips, so you can clip the base in, that plastic base, which is kind of cool, except for these guys. So there's two of each. See what that thing feels like with the battery in it. All right, grabbed a 3 amp hour battery, and I actually have smaller ones. I should check those too. All right, let's see how that feels. So with that battery in there, I mean, that's got some weight to it. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely heavier than the Bosch, there's no question. So that's definitely a I would say it's not necessarily a negative, it's not necessarily a positive, it's just an observation. I guess if you're cutting over your head, that's going to get tiring pretty soon. So maybe use a smaller battery if it will work. I don't know. But that thing looks good. The splitter guard right there is, you know, I'm not really a huge fan of the splitter guards. That guy right there, you know, these things typically, in my opinion, don't do anything. I rely on the blade versus the guard here. So this thing just snaps in, which is cool. You know, it's nice to have it, but the reality of it is I don't think these do anything. I get a blade on there and see how this thing performs. You push this lever and it opens up a slot at the bottom, and then you just put this blade in there, and when you turn it, it locks in. Okay, now that can't be any simpler. That is really cool. Now when you take it out, I imagine you just flip it and it will probably eject it, or you just pull it out or drop it out, one of the two. The Festool ejects it pretty far, like across the room. But that's really cool. Turn it on, let's see how it sounds. Okay. Well, that's nice action. Very nice. So let me tell you one reason why I got this particular saw and not the brand new one that's brushless. The brushless one has a soft start feature that I know from using the Festool, that has it as well, but you can actually shut that off. So you can use it or you can not use it. Well, the Makita has it and you can't shut it off. It's always on. And so everybody says that it's a real pain to use. And I know from the Festool when it did work, I did not like it. I don't like that at all. And also the barrel grip, I didn't like that either, for the purposes of being able to control the speed with my finger. I like to be able to control that and control the speed with the pressure of my hand. So as far as speed control goes, I like that. I don't need a dial. Like I said, with the Bosch, I never use the dial. I just use my finger. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Got a lock on it. So far, I'm happy with it, but my cutting is going to be the final, whether or not it cuts good. Now, I'm actually going to put it up against the Bosch, and we're going to do a comparison. And I've never actually done this before with a comparison like this, because usually I don't have the ability to test two things at once, but I'm actually going to test both of these and see what's what. Okay, I'm going to put a new blade in this Bosch. So I'm going to take a brand new one. I'm going to take it out of the packaging so you know it's brand new. And while I'm at it, I'm going to take two out because I'm going to put the other one in the Makita. Put the blade in this Bosch, you got to put it in sideways, and then once it gets in there, it locks in. You have to turn it 90 degrees and it'll essentially lock into that guide. And now you turn the same thing, except this time you go clockwise, righty-tighty, and you'll hear a click. Once you hear that click, that means it's locked in. The tension is good. And then you just pop it. And now that's it. To take off the blade, out of the blade here. That's really nice. Boy, I tell you something, I'm going to love that. As little as I take the blade out. Oh man, that was nice. All right, so that's on there nice to tell whether or not this blade tracks well or not. So I'm going to start with it out here. one line. Okay, so that should be good. And I'm going to start this with a 0 orbit on it and just kind of take one cut and see how that does. So I tell you, the first thing I notice is this thing here. I don't know if that's a guard or what, but that metal thing, I don't think I necessarily love it. I'm used to this saw. See how it doesn't have anything in the way of the blade? I don't know, but all right. Let's go ahead and cut this. Oh, I'm gonna put my glasses on so okay. I want to use orbital 1. Orbital 2. Okay, so clearly when you put it on the orbits, it cut quality gets a little bit away. You can see the chips there. It becomes faster, but more aggressively, and definitely causes some chip out. All right, now let's go with this one. And it is on no orbit. Put it on 1 orbit. And I put it on 2 orbits. I don't usually use this, but okay, so I've got a few observations. One is, I like the way that this stops. I love that. So the fact that that's got a really quick stop, break, that's really cool. I don't think I'll be using it without the with the orbit for cutting, good materials and stuff. I think no orbit's probably better, or 1 orbit. But to look at these cuts and to know you gain a little bit of speed. I always use 1 with the Bosch, so I've pretty much gotten to the point where I know that cut's going to be good. But this melamine did chip out a little bit. It chipped out a little bit more with the Makita. But it could be just the placement of the actual material. In some areas with this stuff, you just never know what's going to happen. Sometimes melamine chips out more than others in different areas of the board. So I'm not going to say that that's a definitive proof, but it looks to me like the cut here has got more tear out than this cut here that I made with the first cuts of each one. So this is the Makita one. So that's the first. This one is the first cut. This is the second one. And of course that's the third. So if you look at this third one, that's on orbital 2 versus that one there, orbital 2. They're both bad, but Definitely this one's worse, but it's not much worse, but it is worse. This one here, number 1, does have some chip out, but it's better than the Makita. Definitely. And the second one, that's on orbital 1 right there. That's basically almost as good as the first one. This one is almost as good as the first one also, but it's a little bit more tear out. So those two, 1 and 2 cuts were both very similar. I have to give the nod to the Bosch though, in this particular case. Now this cut I also made with the Bosch Jigsaw, and you can see there's no tear out. See that? So that was actually when I did the cabinet. I'm pretty shocked that there's any tear out here, although it's tiny. I mean, basically there's none on this second cut. This first one, which is interesting, that there is actually a little tear out. But now, one thing you'll note, without dust collection, you'll see all the, I mean, this, just by cutting this little bit, I've got more sawdust on my shop floor and in my counter than I do building the whole freaking cabinet. I mean, it's amazing how much dust these things produce. And I did buy the adapter for this thing, so it's coming in the mail, and it goes right here. It's not quite the same as the Festool. The Festool is integrated at the bottom, and it's like in the middle. So I think this is definitely a good saw. One thing to note about this Makita is the wobbling of the blade. There isn't any. And there isn't any on the Bosch either. But there is a ton on my Festool when it worked. Let me show you this. I'm going to put it on orbital 1, and I'm just going to show this to you as I'm doing this. I want you to see the blade. My vacuum that connects to the outlet there, so that's why that went on. So interesting that there's no wobble. There is none. So that's really cool. I didn't really look at this before, but the perpendicularness, the squareness of the cut, those look good. That's what you would hope. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed with the lack of wobble in the blade. So that's good. Now, that's also on, okay, that's on 0. Let me put it on 1. Okay, one thing also to note is the blower, I think, is doing a good job. It's keeping the sawdust away from the line. So I just put it on orbital 2. Let's just check it. So you can see the inside there is completely clear of wood chips, which is, they're all here, but there's none inside there. That means that blower is working. Sawdust in that cut line right now. Let's check this out. Okay, so that's really good also. Okay, so very good. It's just that I thought that it was off, but it was actually on. Let me switch it. So right now it's in the up position. I thought that was on. And I'm going to go down all the way to the bottom, so that's considered full. And let's see what it does with the dust right there. Man, that's awesome. So all that dust just completely went away. So this has got no blower switch, it's just always on. And I don't know exactly where it's coming from, but let me just see the sawdust again on this guy. That is awesome. No sawdust. So it's blowing it away. This right now, to me, is just saying, okay, this is great. I've got a very good saw. Now, again, this is 5/8 material, okay? This isn't 3-inch material. And that's not what I'm testing, the ability to keep it square, cutting, 3 inches tall. But for what I do in my day-to-day, I cut long pieces of 3/4 inch material pretty much all the time. And I'm going to say that this is going to be a great addition to the shop. And this, of course, is still going to be, a tool that's in my shop that's used regularly. But I have a feeling that because this guy is going to be the go-to, because it's cordless, I can just grab it and go. The only thing is, I like this because I can connect it to my vacuum easier. This guy, although I'll have a vacuum port, I just used to take the vacuum hose and put it right there next to the blade and capture most of the dust. This one's going to have that adapter. It's going to be a great addition. The light, the weight of it's heavy, but it's, what are you going to do? It's cordless and it's got a huge battery on it as well. But I definitely like heavier tools because I feel like they're beefier, they're stronger, they're made with more power, stronger components. But the handle, I'm sure I'll get used to it. This thing, again, I'm not like loving the part that comes down here. I feel like it messes with my depth perception. This is just like right there, I can see it, it's so easy. By the way, this is my Festool. This is the one that doesn't work. So basically I pull the trigger and watch what happens. Nothing. The light comes on for a second and there it goes. The guards in my way. Let's see how she cuts. Look at how wobbly the blade is. Look at that. How wobbly that thing is. And it's on 0 orbit. Okay, that thing's so loud. I'm going to turn it down to speed 1. So now you can see this particular tool the orbit on it is pretty significant when you're not using it. But you see how it's got that guard right there? That's the same as the Makita, but this has the shroud that covers up the blade for dust collection. The only problem is that if you don't have dust collection hooked up to it, or if you do, this guard keeps you from being able to see the cut line. It's very difficult to use. And did you see the entrance on the melamine? I mean, this saw is like $500. And I'm afraid to shut it off because I know it won't go back on. So I'm stoked that it went on. I've been trying to get it on for hours. But this desk port's pretty cool, right? Except for it drags on work as you're cutting. So as you're cutting, you've got the hose connected here. Well, guess what happens? It's too low. And so when you're dragging off the workpiece snags on the hose. So that's annoying. This should be raised up so it bends up with the profile of the battery. Because right now it goes too low and the hose just touches the workpiece. But I'm just, this thing has got so much vibration. It's not even close to the Makita or the Bosch. I mean, the Bosch kills it. It's not even a question. But entering a cut, I'm going to leave this on. I'm going to put a square line on this guy here. And while I've got this thing going, if you can, hopefully it'll show up. See these lines right here? I'm going to go ahead and try to make a cut. Speed 4 or 5 or whatever. So that's auto. That was the auto. Starts out slow. Or I'm going to put it on 4. Watch the cut at the start. Look at it. I can't even keep it straight. It's wobbling all over the place. Look at that. It's just dancing. That's not me doing that. That's just too cool. I gotta really try to get this. Okay. It's on one orbit. I'm gonna shut this guy off. Okay, my God, that's annoying. So this tool is a total letdown from the Festool lineup. I don't know what to say about it, but it sucks. This is not a tool that I gotta sell this thing. I don't know what to say about this, but let me see if I can get it to go back on again. That's actually pretty crazy because I seriously have been fighting with this to go back on, and it just... Am I doing something wrong? Like, you're my witness. Oh, there you go. You gotta bang it. Oh, what a piece of shit. I mean, piece of crap. I mean, what a great tool. All my other Festool stuff is really good. It's not good. All right. So you saw these cuts. I could barely get the thing to sit on the line. I'm going to show you this thing, and I'm going to put it at 0 orbits, and let's see how much it vibrates if it moves around. Plus, there's no blower on that Festool, so unless you have dust collection, that dust just sits right by that line. It's not good for visibility. I can't see the line at all. All right. Okay, that's full speed. I'm sitting there and it doesn't move at all. Let me do it again. One-handed. That is crazy. I cannot believe that. Oh my gosh, it's so much better than the Festool from me at some point. All right, now let's take out the old Bosch here. Let's check it out. One hand, let's see what it does. Let's see what the vibration is, if it moves at all. That does have more vibration than the Makita. This is interesting. The blade seems like it's further back from the front of the base plate. Let me just check this. That's 1 1/4 inches to the front of the blade. And this one is, yeah, that's 1 1/8. Okay, now sighting down on these guys. This is what I'm talking about. The blade is right there. See how you can see that? I can see the entire blade right there from being literally almost directly above it. Whereas the Makita, you can't. The blade is back further, quite a bit further. And you got to basically come above in front of that. So that isn't great. And I want to tell you that that's probably going to come in to play using this tool. So the Bosch blades up in front of the Makita by 1/4 inch. That was from our measurement. And that's from the front of the body, the base body. So look at that. You can see the Bosch is actually in front of the Makita. Everything's said and done. The battery is about the same. So all in all, the footprint with the body, you know, considering you can move this out away, they're exactly the same. With that Festool, I'm completely disappointed with this tool in so many respects. And you know what? I'm a Festool person. I've got tons of them. But I'm telling you right now, this does not live up to the hype. Now, let me try to turn it on. You know, most good tools would turn on when you put the trigger on, right? Especially ones that cost $500. This not turn on. So obviously there's a problem with the computer inside there. And you know, it's okay. Tools can have problems with stuff like that. I get it. This isn't that old of a tool, but okay. And you know what? I got this used, pre-owned. I did not buy this new. I'm not buying a $500 Jigsaw. That's just something I probably won't ever do. But there again, I would if it was a superior saw. I probably would. But I think everybody knows these are not this typical Festool quality. So look at the entrances of these. That's the Festool. Those three right there were the Festool. I couldn't even get the thing to go in, but look at that like nasty entrance there from the Festool. It's so violent as it's going in. You can't really, it's hard to control the blade. And then look at the cuts, are not very good at all. And this was in the best, this was theoretically the most gentle mode. So go figure. And compared to those cuts to the ones next to them, I mean, come on. You tell me that there's any comparison? And this is with the same blade. This other blade that's in here, I'm telling you right now, it's probably not as in the best condition, but this blade is basically brand new because this saw has not worked. So I have not used it. That's just take my word for it. They're basically brand new. And I've never seen blades, though, get that black. It's like a burn mark.